YouTube, what's going on? It's Jamar here, Vegas Sense. I got a brand new video. It's been about a week and a half or so since my last video, but I'm back again with another Sensual Obsessions video. And in this particular video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going over two really popular fragrances right now in the Sensual Obsessions group, and I guess you could say community. And it goes by the name of Wood Sage and Sea Salt, which is an inspiration of a Jo Malone fragrance. And then we have here YSLY, which is a newer formulation than what's been on the website in the past. All right, so these two fragrances, I would say it's safe to say that these two are like warmer weather fragrances. So definitely like the warmer spring days, and I would say even summer as well. These are really bright, sort of citrusy, musky, aromatic type of fragrances. And that's why I'm doing both of these in sort of one review, I guess you could say. They don't smell like the same or even similar, but I would say that these two fragrances sort of do the same type of thing almost. All right, so the YSLY, this one really smells really good. Now, I haven't smelled the original YSLY. I've owned the Eau de Parfum version, but I've never owned the Eau de Toilette. And that is what this particular version is based on, is the Eau de Toilette version. And right away, when you first spray this on, to my nose, this smells like, almost sort of smells like grapefruit, sort of like you get like a blast of like citruses. And this just smells like really citrusy, fruity, clean, and just, I would say definitely it's a musky fragrance as well. Now, YSLY Eau de Toilette definitely has a lot of notes in it, so I'll have that in one of the corners as far as the note breakdown goes. So in the top notes for YSLY, you have bergamot, you have aldehydes, ginger, lemon, and mint. And when you first spray it on, you do get sort of like a cooling, sort of minty, refreshing type of vibe from it. And then in the mid notes, you have violet leaf, sage, geranium, apple, and pineapple. And then in the base, you have musk, ambergris, incense, balsam fir, vetiver, and cedar. So, like I said, the main thing that I get from this is like a citrusy, fresh, but musky type of scent. And in my opinion, this is definitely a fragrance that you would want to grab on like a really hot or really humid type of day. I do think that this would go very well with that. And it's a fragrance that it seems to have like this aromatic sort of lingering type of effect to it. Now, the original formulation of this, which I received like around this time last year, that didn't really last that long. It lasted maybe about 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours. But it was definitely a bit stronger on the projection. And I would even say it was probably a little bit sweeter than the version that I have the full bottle of right here. This definitely is a lot more aromatic. It doesn't, I would say, it doesn't push out as much as the original formulation did, but it's not as sweet, and it lasts longer. Now, I would say the projection on this one is moderate, I would say, for probably about the first hour and a half or so, and then it starts to settle down. Now, it is going to be a fragrance that lasts on you all day, but it is going to also be a fragrance that's going to be very close to your skin. So probably no more than about here or so is all you really get. So it gives you a nice little scent bubble, but you know, again, it's not gonna be something that's gonna be pushing out like an arm's length or anything like that. Now, to my nose, I do seem to go nose blind to this one as well. You know, I noticed, I mentioned in previous videos with YSL EDP that, you know, while that one, it seemed to last, I really couldn't smell it after maybe an hour or so, and it was because my nose, I guess, was going blind to it. This one sort of does the same thing, but definitely if I just kind of, you know, do like this, I can get, you know, a whiff of it, or if I move in a certain direction or something like that, I'll get whiffs of it. But it's not something that keeps me smelling it all day long, all right? So as far as occasions on, you know, when and where you could wear this, this one is actually, it's very versatile, I would say. The YSL Y is definitely, it's a good casual fragrance. I would say it's a good active wear fragrance as well. So I plan to use this a lot, you know, going to the gym. I would say this is also good for going out. At the same time, it's good to be worn at work. You know, it definitely, it has like a nice, clean presence to it. Doesn't smell too, you know, juvenile or anything like that, or unprofessional. You know, I definitely think that this is a fragrance that you could still be taken seriously wearing at work, but it would definitely garner you a lot of compliments. I would say probably the only time that maybe that I wouldn't wear this particular fragrance would be like on a date. But honestly, it would depend on what time of the day the date was and where it was. If it's like in the daytime at a beach, then this is definitely one that you could still wear. To me, this is strictly like a daytime fragrance. Definitely don't see any wear out of this at nighttime, but definitely in the daytime, I would say is when this shines, when the sun is out. All right, so overall, I would have to give this 8.5 out of 10. This is definitely a solid fragrance. I'll have to get my hands on the decant to sort of compare it to the original YSL Y. But I mean, I know one thing that I've always heard about the original is the performance of it wasn't that great, especially with the longevity. And I can say for sure that the longevity on this is at least 8 hours, all right? So again, 8.5 out of 10. So moving on here to the next one. This one is definitely, I would say, my favorite fragrance right now from Sensual Obsessions. And this one is their interpretation of Jo Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt, all right? So Wood Sage and Sea Salt, this one, it actually has a much simpler note breakdown. So as far as the notes go in this one, you get ambrette, you get sea salt, lavender, or I'm sorry, sage, grapefruit, and seaweed. And the way that this fragrance is classified is it's classified as a musky, aromatic, marine, citrus, salty type of fragrance. And I don't know, I would say when I spray this on, I can't necessarily say that, well, I guess in the opening you do sort of get like this saltiness to it, you know, almost sort of like a Millesime Imperial type of salty feel to it. And it definitely, it smells super, super musky, I would say. Definitely super musky, aromatic, but there's like this certain sort of sweetness to this fragrance that I honestly, I don't know where exactly it comes from, because I mean, I don't necessarily get too much grapefruit out of this. It smells to me like there's a lot more other citruses in this fragrance other than just grapefruit. Um, this particular fragrance, according to Fragrantica, doesn't have any sort of like top, mid, or base notes. Just lists all of the fragrance or all of the notes all in a row pretty much. But yeah, man, this one, I would say this is a fragrance that you really don't pick up on one note out of the fragrance really at all. When you first spray it on, I would say you definitely do you can tell that sea salt note apart from everything else, but that's only for like the first few seconds, I would say. And then it turns into just a fruity, sort of sweet, almost smells sort of floral in my opinion, type of fragrance. It's really hard to describe, but this one, in my opinion, is definitely good for like a hot day. I would say this would be a fragrance that I would reach for like if I'm going out and I'm just wearing like a white t-shirt, some shorts or jeans or whatever, some clean shoes. This is the fragrance that I want to wear. It really has this really nice, clean, fresh, and like I said, sort of sweet type of smell to it, and not overly sweet either. So I would say this definitely is not something that would become overly cloying. Like for instance, Rasasi Hawass. That one is definitely a fresh fragrance, and it's definitely a fragrance that is meant for warm weather, but it's also not a fragrance that you want to overspray because it does have some heavier aspects to the note breakdown. It does have like some girth overall to the fragrance, and it's something that can become headache inducing and cloying if you spray, I would say, more than about 3 to 4 sprays of it. This one, I could see someone going heavy on it, and initially for the first few minutes it might be a little bit too much, but this one definitely dies down, I would say. It gives you decent projection, I would say, for about maybe the first hour and a half. And then for the rest of the day, pretty much, it, just like the YSL Y, it sits a lot more closer to the skin, probably about like right here as far as how much, it pushes out or whatever. This one though, I would say it does retain strength, or you are able to smell it for longer than the YSL Y. At least I am. Usually I can smell this on me all day. The YSL Y, not so much. I sort of get wafts of that, as I move in certain directions or whatever. But I really have to sort of make myself smell that fragrance. This one, you smell it all day. But it's definitely not as strong as what it is when it's first projecting, obviously. So with this particular fragrance, I would say just like the YSL Y, this one pretty much, it meets all of those same occasions and situations as far as the use for it goes. So in my opinion, this is definitely another daytime fragrance, really bright, refreshing. Definitely not something that I would say you would want to wear at night. It's too bright. And it just doesn't really have that sort of feel to it, I would say. So yeah, definitely a daytime fragrance, and definitely another fragrance that, maybe if you're going to the beach or something like that, I would say this is also another really, really great fragrance to wear to like a beach or a pool party, something like that. All right, so overall, the rating on this one, I have to give this one a 9 out of 10. This one, in my opinion, the smell beats the YSL Y. If I were saying that you had to choose between this fragrance or the YSL Y and you couldn't have both, I would say this is definitely the better smelling fragrance, and I would recommend this one over the YSL Y. But if you are able to pick up both, definitely pick up both of these. either if you don't have the originals already, or maybe if you have the originals and you don't like the way that they perform, because both of these on the originals, they don't really perform that well. These two are definitely a lot better than their original counterparts, at least from what people have said. All right. Again, I don't have the originals of these, but at least with the wood sage and sea salt, I've literally seen people say that it only lasts maybe about 2-3 hours or so. And again, I can confirm that this lasts all day long. All right. So again, definitely check these both out. All right, you can pick these both up at centralobsessionsperfume.com. And again, I'll leave my discount code in the description where you can get an extra 5% off of any order over $25. All right, so that's Jamar here, Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.